Everyone, it's the Sky Priestess. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some things that have been on my mind. I've been seeing it come up, very much so with my clients, and I've been seeing it come up very much so with myself because that tends to be the way it works. Our clients teach us patterns that we need to be aware of in ourselves, and what we do for ourselves, we then end up teaching people, at least those of us in the business of facilitation. Now, basically, I've been thinking a lot about the polarity or supposed polarity between strength and vulnerability. Now, as those of you who have been following me for a very, very long time, you know that I don't quite subscribe to the idea that experiencing pain is your exclusive pathway to spiritual empathy, compassion, and transcendence. You can look up my writings referencing Carolyn Miss's concept on woundology and how it actually gives us a perspective that gives us the permission to get out of the wounded healer cycle and wounded healer paradigm. So I do have a very strong take on that, but that doesn't mean that that needs to be your reality or your perspective. So, this is what I think. You can take it, you can leave it, but as with everything I say, as with everything anybody says, take it with a grain of salt and use your discerning sense. Now, basically, when I deal with a client who has been going through a particular traumatic cycle for many, many lifetimes, or certainly for many decades in this lifetime, there are two ways that I can deal with it. One, I can help them look at an energetic version of themselves that does not have or need to bear this particular imprint of pain. Or I can help them go through the pain to realize what is the missing piece of the puzzle that they are not seeing. Very often we continue replaying events in our minds, in our energetic bodies, in our relationships, in our experience of the world to find a sense of completion, fulfillment, or at the very least catharsis. Now, fulfillment doesn't necessarily mean a happy fulfillment. It is kind of like seeking an ending or seeking a point of finality, seeking a point of completion. And sometimes that is an illusory pursuit because it can keep you trapped in a cycle for a very, very long time, looking for something that's not likely to come. But getting back to working with clients. So for some people, digging into the pain, digging into the vulnerability and finding that missing piece helps them reset themselves very, very quickly. And from some other people, you kind of look at the pattern and you go, well, that's you in this energetic blueprint, but this is what you could be. You make the choice. And simply having the awareness that there is a different way to be ends up transforming people very, very quickly. Because power is not just about how we exert influence over the world. It is also about how we exert influence over ourselves. That does not mean that we need to deny the experiences that make us feel vulnerable or the pain that has taught us many different lessons through this life cycle or many different life cycles. It simply means that we understand at a deeper level that we have the right to choose how to deal with these things. Now, I see this as fundamentally epitomized by the Capricorn-Cancer dynamic. Both of them have emotional issues. Cancerian energies in the zodiac are energies which do have a certain reserve. They feel immensely, they feel very, very deeply, and they do tend to hold it in themselves to a certain degree, which is why Cancer is represented by the crab with its tough exterior, soft interior. It's smushy inside, but it still holds it all in with that tough exterior. Capricorn's very similar. Capricorn's energy it looks really tough. It goes up the mountain. It does things that no one else can do, which is why I love being a Capricorn. But Capricorns are notorious for withholding their emotions. And both of these signs have issues with dealing with the emotional channels. Either they feel too much and don't want to let it out, like Cancer, or they simply withhold so much that they forget that they have emotions, which is also the reason why Capricorn is associated with politicians. And you know how that goes. Quite a lot of them are absolute sociopaths. This is why I got out of political science. But that's not to say every politician is like that. To keep that balance between being powerful in the external world and in the internal world, and the balance between being compassionate to others and compassionate to self, is going to be a really key message and a key challenge for all of us in the coming years, especially with so much of energy poised to enter Capricorn very, very soon. So I've been thinking, based on the fact that quite a lot of my challenges in my life have been around this dynamic, and that I seem to be able to help people with it. So I've decided, having looked at many, many, many other topics and potential themes, that at this time it would probably be of the best value for myself and for everybody to actually write on this. So I'm going to be doing an extended piece, perhaps even a book. I think it'll probably be a book, but maybe not a very thick one, but enough as a guideline to help people understand how to tease out this dynamic and some practical tools, practical strategies that they can actually use to cope. A little goes a very, very, very long way in navigating this balance between strength and vulnerability and realizing that they're not really on polar opposites of the spectrum. In some sense, if you want to call it true power, I don't know. If you want to call it true vulnerability, I don't know. Whatever adjectives you want to use, whatever adjectives you want to use to create an ideal form of this, it's usually a combination of both. Power without compassion is terrifying. And compassion without power is, well, it's kind of like an emotional punching bag. And you kind of need to have both, especially with what's coming up. So stay tuned. I am actually off to Australia. I've got some work there that needs to be done with myself, with the land, and with this book that I want to write. So, well, that's the signal I got. And I'm following my feet and following my vibes. So stay tuned. Peace out.